Welcome to this week's edition of the mma-analysis podcast. I am your host, Lance. Great night last Saturday, as good as it gets. We've been joking around for years that Glover Teixeira is going to be the champion. We're here. We're pretty much here. And now Dana is even thinking about pulling Adesanya, because nobody knows who that guy is, and putting in the superstar Glover Teixeira to take that strap. Brad, how great was that?
Oh, I mean, the result was great, but then also, can a group of people break down a fight any more perfectly than we broke that fight down? I mean,
every Glover fight, it's easy.
Yeah.
I think what I say, I was like, he's gonna get dropped and almost deaded in 30 seconds, and like it was.
The announcers are gonna say that the ref's about to step in.
Yep, it was everything. It was Glover, and then the twist though was the third round, because like we finished that second round and it looked like it was going to be stopped towards the end of the second round. I mean, full Glover beatdown, like what he does best, and then he gets caught, and I was like, oh no, we've never seen this. We've never seen him die, come back to life, take over, and then die again. And it was like, I'm assuming he was gassed. Santos was gassed, because he is beating the piss and shit. Like it was literally like I'm watching Glover get elbowed in the face, and then you blink and he's in a takedown, and 5 seconds later, it's a submission. It went from elbows to the head to tapping out. I haven't watched it again. It had to be 10, 15 seconds, right?
It was immediate. Like, Glover at this point, rocked Glover, would crawl across broken glass and burning coals to get a takedown. Like, that man he's insatiable.
He's great.
He's a machine. Like, anybody else takes those shots early, it's over. And it's not even just that he's like going, like getting these takedowns. Like he looks like he's there the whole time.
Yeah.
It's not like these sloppy, grab him for legs when some wrestlers have got dropped or fucked up. He's all there the whole time. Which goes to show you how much power does Anthony Rumble Johnson have to be able to dead Glover.
Yep.
And no one else is coming close to that.
Yeah.
Glover has lost to guys that he can't out-wrestle and Rumble.
Yeah.
Well, and at this point, how many guys at 205 can Glover not out-wrestle? It's one of the most underrated qualities of Glover is not just his, like everyone knows his submission game's great. Everyone knows his chin and recover, how he recovers is amazing. His actual wrestling ability, I know it's Thiago Santos. He's not a good wrestler. But Glover has good takedowns, and I think I get so frustrated when I watch non-wrestlers try to wrestle and go with the single. They just go with the single and they push him against the face and they kind of like just try to shake him down. That doesn't really work in MMA.
And
you know what works in MMA when you're not, and it's the not stopping. I've talked about this in the show a lot with just basic wrestling, but when they shoot if they're against the fence, that needs to be double drive, turn the corner. And where guys fail, and they do this with the single and the double sometimes, is once they get in, they hold it, and they're sitting there against the cage. When you're wrestling and you're learning takedowns, even basic wrestling, you're taught not to stop. As soon as you get the legs and you drive in, you immediately turn the corner and you drive. As soon as you stop, that takedown's over. And Glover does that. He gets in the double. He gets both legs. He never really goes for sloppy singles or anything like that. He goes for the double and he turns the corner and he goes. And, man, like, it's – all the tape study. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows, like, it's just amazing to watch. And for a 41-year-old guy, the fact that he can recover like that and his cardio, he's in these wars, these grueling, grappling wars getting hurt. And it seems like he's fine. The guy's amazing.
He's just one guy that can out-wrestle him in the division was probably Corey Anderson, and he left.
Yeah. Well, and Jones.
Yeah.
But he's gone.
He's retired.
Yeah, and all jokes aside, I make Glover Teixeira a favorite over Jan Blachowicz. And I'm not even kidding. This isn't us what we do. I know we exaggerate and we joke around, but I legit think Glover Teixeira would be a rightful favorite over Jan Blachowicz.
Except we're going to get him at plus 200 again.
It's going to be great.
I don't know if we'll get a plus 200. We might get plus 150. I think.
No, I think that's the last time you get the big price on him.
But is Jan not the perfect style for Glover? He's a guy that's just going to headhunt. He's not a very good wrestler. He's not a very good grappler. He doesn't have very good cardio. It's literally the perfect, like, you could not serve up. Like, if you look at the champion, like John Jones and some of the guys, like Glover would actually, or Jan would probably be the best matchup for someone like Glover because he's just a headhunter that doesn't wrestle and doesn't grapple.
Yeah.
Oh, did you get the new shirt? Look at this! Look at this baby, the bear shoe. Yep, I went with red for Nazi blood all over my shirt.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's foreplay for next week.
it is. I had to break it out for this week, get it started, get used to it. Didn't want to have any kind of like octagon jitters or anything like that. So we got to get the shirt rolling. They could have used him on this card. They could. Whew. Well, it's funny. And we'll get into last
he's a pay-per-view fucking main card guy now. He's not on these piddly little shitty cards. Come on.
When they announced that the fight was random Russian number 16 withdrew from the fight, you look at, usually it's like, oh well, they got a co-main. I was like, oh my god, what are they gonna like? I legit thought like they are gonna have to cancel this because you cannot put Alhassan versus something called Chaos Williams as your main event. And I was like, they literally have no options. And I was kind of worried that they were going to put Dubronx in this spot. And I was like, I don't want to waste my time watching Dubronx submit RDA. I want a real fight. But Felder stepped up, and people were like, who should Makhachev fight next? And should he fight Ferguson or this and this? I'm like, back of the fucking line, kid.
Yeah. Okay, so I know that Makhachev was probably going to win that fight. Like he was a minus 500 for a reason. But that guy's best win is like, I don't know, Davi Ramos. Like he hasn't beaten anybody worth a fucking damn. These Russians are the worst.
It's the Russian. People love Russians.
The hype is there because he's Russian. He trains with Khabib and he can wrestle.
Isn't this the dude that got slept by Adriano Martins?
Who hasn't?
That was man, Martins. There was a pocket there where he was pretty fucking good, and then he's just gone.
I still think he's thrown less than 10 punches in his entire MMA career.
Fuck.
And one of them
watching him.
this guy out.
We were all in Vegas when we were watching that fight and just couldn't believe him not just throwing a single strike. It was fucking brutal.
Well, I think with Makhachev, like everyone's calling for these top guys. I'm like, to me, this guy still has to earn it. He needs to beat someone in this top, 10 to 15 range. And I don't know if he's still fighting or fishing, but put him in there with Gregor.
That dude never fights.
If he's done fishing, Gregor beats them.
Just the Russian does.
Like to me, so as you guys know, when I don't like someone or they're Russian or something like that, I like to find bad matchups where you take away the one thing they're good at, which is wrestling. So the best I came up with is I want to see Makhachev attempt to out wrestle Gregor Gillespie.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, Gregor, that knockout was pretty nasty. I don't know if he's rushing to get back in there.
It's been like a year. Dubronx murdered Kevin Lee. In between, fucking 8 months ago, Dubronx murdered Kevin Lee. He retired and then got his whole fucking area tattooed. Have you seen that shit?
Yeah, that's a wild tattoo.
Yeah. Yes. Can't fit. If it didn't get super cold where I live right now, I was going to record this episode from the garage with Thiago Santos's dead body underneath my garage door. How predictable that fight! I'm texting my dad during the fight, and Glover gets dropped, and I was like, normally when you say we have him right where we want him, people are joking. I was like, no, literally, this is exactly what we want to happen. We want him to get flatlined.
Yeah, as soon as he wasn't unconscious from the first strike, I was like, yes, Glover Ting's happening.
Yeah, and it's like it's not even really a big sweat most of the time for Glover because you just know you have to survive like 30 seconds of it because it's not like until he got dropped in the third round. But most time with Glover, it's like he gets dropped and then it's like instant recover and he's on top. Like I don't know how he sweeps guys when he's half dead. I can't figure it out.
The man runs on autopilot better than any other fighter I've ever seen. It's wild.
It's nuts, and we'll see what the UFC does. I mean, I don't see why I don't get it. I don't know why the UFC feels like they have to rush into this Adesanya fight. There is a good 205-pound title fight, and I understand they're not sure what to do with Adesanya, but is the UFC this stupid that not to just fucking do Jones versus Adesanya? There's all the heat, everything else. Jones said he'd fight him. Like, this kid wants to be tough. Let him get in there with Bones, get his ass whooped, and humble him a little bit.
I think the UFC is protecting Adesanya. They don't want that fight yet.
And the other thing is, it's not like he's cleaned out the middleweight division.
No, he's fought a couple guys.
He's had 2 title defenses.
Yeah.
You know what happened to like other actual greats in the sport? GSP defended his title against guys like Dan fucking Hardy.
Yeah.
Anderson defended against Patrick Cote. Like, you clean out your division, you fight a scrub or two that's made it to a title shot, and then you get to talk about the bullshit super fights and going up weights and shit like that.
Yeah, I hate the super fight stuff. And, he has only the problem right now with middleweight is he has only defended twice. Yes, he hasn't cleaned out the division. But let's take a look at that middleweight division.
It's pretty rough.
There's nothing there. Like, literally, so Whitaker said he doesn't want to fight him or something. He just beat Costa. Cannonier just lost. Hermanson's not very good. He already beat Yoel. Darren Tills does he even have a win at middleweight? And he's hurt. Like Derek Brunson, is Derek Brunson?
No, that's the thing.
Brunson.
Give him a couple title defenses against some shitty fighters. Yeah. He looks great, and that's how you start to actually build up some steam behind you.
But what shitty fighter? I don't even know which one they'd pick.
Pick somebody. I just said Dan Hardy got a title shot at one point. Patrick Cote.
What about Uriah Hall after that fucking filthy knockout?
Dana took a shit on his head.
Yeah, that's true.
Dana took a giant shit on his head. I mean, I think it's time for the All-American to get his strap back.
Chris Weidman, baby.
Would you not put it past the UFC to do that? I honestly wouldn't. When you look at the top 10, you're like, okay, beat him, hurt, awful loss. The All-American. It's good. It's good. But
he's matched up with somebody right now, correct? Who's he training
Weidman?
for? Yeah.
I have no idea.
No, Weidman's not. I don't think so.
Not, eh?
So I mean, Weidman's getting a title shot.
Weidman just fought like 4 months ago. Do you think he's got another fight booked already? Come on.
Yeah, it's true.
Weidman gonna chin check him on the feet. I don't think Adesanya can keep up with that speed on the feet from Chris.
Coming off a healthy W against.
But I really
triangle round 2.
I don't know what it is for what Adesanya does. I want the Bones fight. Everyone wants the Bones fight, so that won't happen. Adesanya doesn't want that. He just wants to talk shit. So put him in there with Whitaker, whatever. Get Whitaker to do it because the fans want. And that was very clear, I think, on Saturday. Glover Teixeira versus Jan Blachowicz. There's no reason to make Glover wait. And let's be real. If Adesanya did fight Blachowicz and Adesanya won, he's immediately giving that strap back up. He don't want none of the garage weight champ. You kidding me? He'd retire before he fought Glover.
They should just do the Whitaker rematch and do it in Australia or New Zealand with fans.
When? Like 2028?
Like soon.
Like they could do it next week in Australia.
Yeah, they actually have fans in the stands, like full. I mean, might as well.
So and furthermore, I don't even.
US. We had 70,000 people at a Texas football game. The U.S. had 142,000 cases of COVID yesterday. 142,000.
And furthermore, I don't even think Adesanya could make garage weight.
You get too much.
You don't want that smoke.
He's not a dog. He doesn't have the dog in him to step in there with Glover. But I honestly do think Glover's going to fight Jan Blachowicz next because Dana knows Glover's old. He even said Dana never goes back on stuff like that. But he was like, yeah, I'm hearing him. I'm listening. We're going to figure it out. To me, that means Dana wants, I think personally as a fan, and because Glover's such a good dude and everyone loves him, he's a company man. I do think that fight's going to happen next. Adesanya, maybe he sits out or he fights some bum at 185. And then if he wants the garage champ, he can try.
Can you imagine
maybe they do it for 256?
That wants to see Adesanya fight Blachowicz instead of Glover right now?
Literally
what
nobody.
Kind of monster do you have to be?
And that's like the Adesanya Blachowicz. Like, what is that? Why? Like when I want super fights, right?
You want between two good dominant champs.
Yeah, if I want two champs or at least an interesting matchup, these guys are not. There's no fun pre-fight stuff in the cage. It's just going to be Adesanya sticking to a jab until Blachowicz gasses out, throws some kicks, some leg kicks. It's not a competitive. It's not an interesting fight. There's nothing there. Blachowicz has never defended his belt. Like, if Bones was the champ at 205 right now, I would be screaming from the rooftop, yeah, go up, kid. Let's see. But I think what would happen is Adesanya beats the crap out of Blachowicz, and everyone's like, oh, my God, double champ. He's the greatest ever. And it's like, no, dude, he just fucking fought Jan Blachowicz. Like, let's not act like he's this fucking 205 king. If he beat Blachowicz, I'd still rank him like 8th at 205.
Yeah, I mean, the 256 lost their headliner. I know Adesanya doesn't want to come back until March or something.
What got canceled?
Nunes versus Anjos.
That was the main event?
I believe so, yes.
UFC is never going to learn. Oh, my God. They were going to headline.
Let's make Glover and fucking Jan.
Yeah.
Mid-December. Let's go.
That card doesn't have like a – oh, no, that card – they could just do Jan Sterling as the main event.
They can. It's just it was a double headline.
And now it's better.
That's a great fight, Jan Sterling. That card – dude, we get Marvin Vettori versus –
Jacare is
that's a weird fight.
Up.
Dude, that's going to be a sad moment when someone like Marvin Vettori is going to beat my boy.
Wins a split decision over Jacare.
I don't think there's going to be any split about it. I think he finishes.
I don't know. I don't think Glover's going to be ready in 1 month.
Come on.
You know what? I actually think a shorter turnaround is better for Glover. If he's still a little bit rocked from this fight, man,
carry it over.
That is true. All right. So as far as the rest of the card, not much. It was okay. It was a good bit of finishes, but the card was pretty crappy overall. But bantamweight division. Gustavo Lopez defeated Anthony Burchak, submission first round. I don't know why Burchak got the call back. I like redemption stories. It's usually guys fight their way back, but he had he won his last two, but was on like a 3 or 4 fight losing streak before that. It was a weird call up, and he was overmatched.
Everybody wants to fight, Lance.
Yeah, hey.
Everyone loves pandemic fighting. Welterweight division, Max Griffin ripped this fella's ear off. That was interesting. And, you know, I took a small little stab on Ramiz here by sub at plus 500. And it wasn't that I thought he had a better chance of winning than Griffin. I just thought if he was going to win, it's sub, and I'm getting plus 500. So there's some value there. But he didn't try to grapple. He didn't even think about it. He was like, I'm just going to bang. And then, like, not even in the second round after the beatdown, and he wasn't doing well, like, did he ever think once, like, this isn't going my way? Maybe I should do what I'm good at.
I said last week if he either wins by sub or he loses, like, it would have been by decision, but, you know, his ear fell off. He got the Safarov ear.
That was a bad one. That was a bad one. But, yeah, I mean, smarten up, kid. If you're a grappler, you got there based on your sub game, you should try that. And it's not like Max Griffin's like great on the ground or anything like that. Like, take him down, see what happens. And like, if he wanted to like test the striking out or whatever, it's like fine. But like after the first round, like, why is his corner not like, dude, you are getting your fucking shit kicked in. Take the fight to the ground. And like, they always talk about good corners and this and this. It's like, I feel like corner advice is like kind of easy sometimes because you're not going to be able to like teach super technical things in between rounds, right? Like, hey, move your finger this way and do this. It's gonna be game plan stuff of like, hey, you need to take him down. You know how to shoot a takedown. I'm not gonna teach you how to shoot a takedown in between rounds, but I'd like for you to take him down. Maybe you certain like go upper body, go legs, you know, double leg, whatever it is, but take him down. Fuck.
There's a decent amount of very, very poor fight IQ fighters that don't really listen to their fucking corners, which.
Well, it's more than you could say it a couple ways. It's not just like poor fight IQ. Fighters have a low IQ. They're dumb. They fight in a cage for a living.
For peanuts.
You got to be a smart guy that gets in there. Looks like a fucking genius.
Mm-hmm. Wow, this guy, the fight IQ on this guy, he's like literally just doing common sense things. It's like he didn't punch himself in the face. He's the smartest guy in the UFC. Like, fucking ridiculous. All right, let's move on here as this fight was great. This was everything you hope from the Damage Elkins fight. I did hit Elkins here as we had Darren Elkins defeating Luis Eduardo Garageweight submission third round. This was an Elkins fight. He came in, took him down, rode him out. Started getting hit a little bit the first round. Second round, starts getting hit a lot, gets bloodied up, ready to go. You're kind of worried in the third round. It's 1-1. What's going to happen? And boom, takedown sub. Like, fucking Elkins, man. This guy's the shit. He's the damage.
Brutal. I had Go's decision. It looked like it was cruising, and then the damage does what he does, man. Fucking round 3. I don't know why we didn't bet it. That's kind of his thing, but man, he's taking a lot of punishment, and it shows very quickly on his face when he gets hit. It's not a pretty sight.
The best part of this fight was afterwards, and they're interviewing Elkins, and I forget who was interviewing. I don't know if it was Anik or someone. They were like, "You didn't take as much damage in this fight as normal," like something like that in the question. And literally, his eyes like swollen shut. There's blood pouring down his face. He's got like blood everywhere. Like, you didn't take as much damage as normal. How you feeling?
That's an easy night for him, compared to what it normally is.
It looks like a broken orbital and like there's blood all over him. It looks like you didn't take much damage. You ready to step in on short notice?
Ready to go.
Man, just knowing that this was the UFC, being like, all right, you've had a pretty rough road lately. We're gonna toss you a softball, and that's what he looked like after that fight. He's not long for this world.
that was a fun fight. That was a really fun fight.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it. All right. Next up, Romanov defeated Markos Rogerio de Lima via big brother pinning little brother down with his forearm and then randomly passing out.
Little brother falling asleep.
So,
pure, unfiltered heavyweight shit.
Oh, that was That guy he's not good. I know some people thought he was good coming into this fight, but he's not good.
I played him round 1, and that shit was not close until heavyweight,
and then it was over.
Terrible heavyweight shit happened, and I was like, oh, I guess I won. Fuck.
Yeah. I didn't even know what happened at first.
Because he's just laying back, eyes rolled back in his head, his arms up.
Yeah, like completely out cold. And I will say this, and I was going to say the same thing, Brad, where everyone was hyping this guy up, and I thought he was pretty good too. Like a heavyweight that has good grappling and wrestling, like he can go pretty far. This dude's not very good. His takedowns aren't good. He's strictly upper body, not good takedowns. Seemed to gas out in about 46 seconds, give or take. Like I actually thought he had a chance to lose early in the fight because he was like huffing and puffing, and he's very hittable, and he has very limited striking. And as soon as this guy fights anyone who can keep it on the feet, he's dead.
Well, even the fact that De Lima can stand up after you take him down, that's not a good sign because he doesn't do that. He just quits.
Yeah.
Have we ever seen a shittier sub in the UFC?
Not for like 2 decades at least.
All right, then that don't count.
What about the Pat Militek? Wasn't that the one? Is that who the Bulldog choke? Carlos Newton?
That was tremendous. I don't know what you're talking about.
That has to be worse than that, right?
No.
Did Sonnen get that on fucking...
Oh, Askren. Yeah, Askren.
Waller and Askren. All right.
That one was more embarrassing, I think. Askren Wabi Waller. That was worse. He beat him with he choked him out with like a noogie hold.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. Because like he went out on this forearm choke. Shit was...
Yeah.
Woo!
Didn't know that was possible.
That was nuts.
Heavyweight MMA. Beautiful.
All right. Trevin Giles defeated Bevan Lewis, 3rd round TKO. I was kind of zoning out in and out of this one. Saw the finish. Yeah. Lewis sucks. Not much bad there for me.
Yeah. Giles finally didn't piss one away. He looked okay, but I think it's just because Lewis looked so shitty.
It's terrible. He's got muscles, but he's terrible.
Yep.
Yeah,
not good.
I just sort of tuned out. I thought the fight was going to decision, and then it was over, and I didn't really know what happened. I still don't, honestly. I didn't even rewind to see. Yeah,
not good. All right, next up, women's trophy division. Lost this one. China woman number 7 defeated Claudia Gadella, 29-20 across all cards. Claudia won the first and then kind of stopped. The second round was weird. Like 3rd round, she tried to take her down, and I think was just tired. The second round game plan was scary. She didn't try to do a takedown. Knowing you won the first round, knowing you have bad cardio, so you really have to win the second round because you've never won a round 3. And you don't shoot a takedown the whole second round. Was that saving gas tank to take her down in round 3?
I think she was recovering. She's like, fuck it, I gotta take a rest for 5 minutes in the second so that I have a chance to take her down and secure a win in the third, because she didn't do shit and it was fucking horrible. Yeah. I stayed away. I was concerned Gedalia is I mean, it's always been this way. She needs to get the first two because she always gasses. But before, she was getting those first two fairly easy against pretty decent competition. That shit ain't happening anymore. It's one and done.
I think once she realized she was never going to win the belt, I think she stopped caring. I know she changed camps and she still looks in good shape, but it's just how she looks in the cage. It just looks like, like it just like, yeah. It seems just kind of like a lack of effort, a lack of not even effort, passion. Maybe is the right word. Like she doesn't seem passionate about fighting, and she seems just as content to lose as to win. So it's not. I don't know. I couldn't trust her again against anyone. I don't know anyone I could just lay juice on her or anything like that. So I don't know. Brad, anything bad here?
You want me to talk about this fight? It was terrible.
My bad. Yeah, and people are like, Jan's amazing. She's so good. I'm like, all she does is hup for 15 minutes and nothing happens.
Even when she's throwing little strikes from the clinch. She's throwing little knees from the clinch.
She was on her back, laying down, hitting Claudia in the shoulder, going hup, 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 hup. Oh my god! Like if you're gonna throw a big shot, like fine, whatever. But she was like,
like the dude on Contenders series last night. The shit he was throwing from his back. You can hop to that.
Yeah, because he's throwing heat.
Oh, yeah.
She's trying to just rack up those significant strike numbers.
Does that make them significant if you hop with them?
I think that puts it over the edge. And people are like, she's a contender. She hasn't lost in 8 years. She's amazing. She's gonna fight for the title. And I'm like, if you watch that fight and go, yes, this is a title contender, cancel the division.
Yeah,
cancel the whole thing.
Yep.
Women's MMA, baby. I can't anymore. All right, let's move on now. Our boy Giga. I had this one doesn't go, so I was happy with this versus Afro Thunderdome or something. TKO head kick. It was typical Giga. I would say for the first several minutes, he landed some stuff. Didn't seem like he was kind of like he has a little gay guard in him to me, where he's like, he's kind of like strolling around the octagon, winning but not doing it fun and not very decisively. And then he just lands this massive head kick and puts this guy out of there. And this was class. You know, there's different levels to this shit, but I don't think
Bellator special right here.
It was. I don't think Giga's good at all. People are like, he's really improved in MMA. He's very dangerous. I'm like, I'm sorry, he's just not. Like, let's see him fight someone who doesn't suck.
Yep.
Yeah. I still don't know. Like every time he fights, people talk about the Giga kick. I still don't know what the fuck the Giga kick is. Like, is it just his left kick?
I don't pay attention.
It's like the Crow Cop, left kick, hospital, right kick, cemetery. It's like that for Giga, but it's like left kick, partially stumble, right kick, take a step backwards.
That's that kickboxing stuff.
Yeah. So Giga's 5-0 UFC record, split decision over Brandon Davis. Split decision over Jamal Emmers. Decision over Erwin Rivera-Shyster. Decision against Omar Morales, which we were kind of surprised and seemed impressive. And then he beat this scrub.
Not good.
No.
It's a hell of a 5-0 record.
Fight somebody, please.
Well, this is the kind of guy that I like to match up myself. Play matchmaker where I'm like, all right, big dog. Everyone's talking about Giga's this. I want him to fight someone good. Chad Mendes. Chad Mendes used to be my guy. Of like anytime like someone at 145, like, oh, this guy's good. I'm like, put him in there with Mendes. I miss those days.
Yep.
Who should Giga fight next? What weight class is he? 45?
45. Darren Elkins.
I mean, maybe he wants to crack into like just the number 15 ranked guy. No one great, just like 15 ranked guy. Edson Barbosa.
Perfect.
Just a 15th ranked guy.
135 is pretty stacked from 1 to 15. That's
The lower weight classes, 35 and 45, are just insane to me. Like, so if you look at the 15th ranked guy at 35 or 35 and 45, Cheeto Vera, who's on like a 5 or 6 straight winning streak, is 15, and in featherweight, it's Edson Barbosa. Like, come on.
That's rough getting into the old rankings in those weight divisions. If you're
Yeah,
outside.
it's tough. And it's not even the rankings are bad. I mean, well, 145, we also have Ryan Hall ranked 13th, which we talked about last week, which
he's
is
easy top 10.
Didn't they say Giga who's going to fight Jeremy Stevens? Someone called out Jeremy Stevens. Who was that?
No, Stevens is fighting.
Someone on Saturday called out Jeremy Stevens and said, I want to fight quick. And Jeremy replied, yes, let's do it. And who was it?
It was this guy. Yeah,
it was Giga. Yeah,
wanted to co-main event with Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah, so he's
fucking high.
And Jeremy responded, which made no sense. Nice fight, Giga. I accept for December. Butt cheeks. Let's go. I don't know what that means, but I'm in.
Jeremy Stevens is a wild man. You never know what he's thinking.
That's a perfect fight for Giga to just get his shit kicked in. Because Jeremy Stevens is going to be in his face, not let him strike at distance. And someone called me crazy, but I was like, Jeremy's going to take this guy down and just pulverize his face in with elbows. They're like, Jeremy's not a wrestler. I'm like, he is when he feels like it. Against Giga, like he would 100% take Giga down. Like, and just smashes. Jeremy Stevens is best when he decides he feels like smashing people on the ground. Like the Yair third round. He was like, yeah, I'm just going to take this guy down and break his fucking face in the third round. And he does it. And he would do that to Giga all 3 rounds. So, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, and someone said Giga call it Stevens. I missed that. Yeah. Oh, and then this guy in the Contender Series last night that we were talking about where he kept going, I beat the fuck out of that guy.
Sabatello, man, is just trash. He just keeps saying that he's beat the fuck out of him. It was terrible.
I think the UFC made a mistake not signing him.
Yeah.
I do. Because, funny enough, right, we watch all those fights and there's exciting finishes. He might have been the most talented guy on the show last night.
100%.
Not
with
even
zero entertainment coming out of him is the problem.
I enjoyed it because at the afterwards in his interview he just kept saying, "Yeah, I beat the fuck out of that guy." He wouldn't want to fight me again. I was just beating the fuck out of him. Like it was tremendous. But I mean, the guy's a dominant. And the funny thing is, like sometimes you get in this show and you got to do what you got to do to win, right? I understand you got to be exciting, but you can't just like throw. What's he supposed to do? Stand up when he's not a striker? And that he's had like 10 fights. That was only his second decision ever. Yeah. Like the guy was clearly the most talented fighter on the show. Dana's like freaking out over this 115-pound chick that beat up this fat lady, and it's like, so you think she's better than him, or even like, were those the only two? It was just that two is the Moda guy, the fat guy.
Moda. Yeah.
Well, wait, like he's not as talented as Sabatello, and I understand the UFC doesn't want to sign boring guys or whatever, but like
they don't want to sign another boring Russian if he's not Russian.
Yeah, if he was Russian, he was signed right away. I mean, say what you want about his style, and then if he didn't go for it, 30-24, 30-25, 30-26. Are you telling me that guy's not talented enough he's not UFC caliber? Do I want to look at this card we're about to break down?
The thing is, you could throw that guy in against some of the shit that they've been putting out here, and he would maul them.
Sabatello is talented, right? Like he was a decent wrestler. He was a very big gagger. He was a gagger in college, where he always should have been better. He beat some really, really, really good guys when it didn't count, and then get to the tournament. Not good. Like he beat some really good guys. Like he beat Laser and some other guys early on, and then he get to the tournament and he had some bad draws and stuff. But the guy he gagged. But I like that interview. That interview was the best. That might have been the best interview on Contender Series all year. Because he was like, Dana, please, I'll fight next week, please.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to hear about fucking death in that one, so that makes it infinitely better than all the other ones.
But
he's not like a Colby Covington, like I'm gonna pretend that I love Trump dickhead. He's just a fucking dickhead.
He's just Guido. Like it's Italian fuck. Like, and I like that they're like, do you think you did enough? He was like, I don't know. I beat the fuck out of that guy. He wasn't like, I'll fight next week. Come on, Dana, please sign me. It was like he was indifferent. Dana signed him. Like whatever. Like people just watch me
Bellator ring.
Yeah. Soon. And that's the thing. Does the UFC want to give up a guy like that? And when you have these young wrestlers who are really good on top, have some decent submissions, some good ground and pound, they usually learn how to finish better guys as they go up. They get good training. I think he was at like ATT or something, like a good camp too. It's like that guy in two or 3 years could be like a top 15 type contender with his wrestling and his top control. Do you really want that guy going to Bellator? Bellator has a lot of good wrestlers who I'd much rather in the UFC, and this could be one of those guys. Like. I don't know. I hate that. I love Contender Series,
Just
but I also hate it. Like, I hate that you have to finish somebody. When anyone who watched that episode last night, including Moda, who's not good at all, he's terrible. They didn't take the most talented person because he only won 30-24, 30-25, and 30-26.
No
Give
finish,
me a break.
No contract for you.
Fucking bullshit. Anyway. As we digress, bantamweight division, Barcelos versus Taha, great fight, really good fight. The fact that this was fight of the night over Glover Teixeira versus Thiago Santos is one of the weirdest things we've seen. That fight was fun, right? It was a fun fight. It was back and forth. There were some good moments. But are you telling me if you watch that fight and then watch Teixeira Santos, let's take names out of it and positions on card and everything else. If I watch those two dudes fight and then I watch these two dudes fight, you're going to tell me the Glover fight wasn't better? Each guy got hurt like 17 times in the Glover fight. Santos died twice. Glover died twice. It was fucking phenomenal. Now, Barcelos Taha, good. Barcelos is good. I wish he wasn't 33. I wish he was a little bit younger, but his striking just looks way better. Like, his striking looks good. He's violent. He still had a ton of gas going in the third round, and his grappling, we know, is pretty good. So this is a guy that could make some noise. I don't think he's going to be a champ or anything like that, but at 135, there's a lot of fun matchups with him that he could have in this one. I wouldn't mind him see him fighting. What's that shithead that Jay likes? Rob. Do that. Yeah. Let's do that. What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, his problem is always going to be his cardio. I know you said it looked all right here, but I think he was just so much more talented than this guy that even though he got tired in the third, he was still able to beat him up. Once he gets up to the higher level guys, his cardio is going to suffer, and he is for sure not a 5-round fighter. So
he's never fight 5 rounds.
He doesn't have to worry about that.
Not yet, and I don't think he ever will.
Yeah,
but he's very talented and fun to watch, but just not quite there and a little too late to the game.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And then we move Combane, not much to hear. Arlovski defeated Bozer. Bozer, what the fuck? I don't know what it is. Are people scared of Arlovski? He has no power anymore. He has no power.
No.
Why do people, when they fight Arlovski, change their style and do not throw punches? Bozer, we talked about last week. I thought he would attack because he's always pretty aggressive. He moves forward. He throws strikes and strikes. He refused to fight Arlovski. It was mind-boggling.
He hypnotizes him. I don't know what the fuck he does, but somehow he just completely shuts down everything from both fighters. And then it's just like a terrible, terrible 3-round decision where it's fucking close and nobody really cares about what happened. This was the dirty bagwater calfless mush special, eh? Fucking assholes. I lost money on Bozer minus 3.5. That's what I get for betting Canadians.
Yeah, that's fair. I knew it. I said it after last fight that I knew Bozer was a decision merchant all day. But then if you've got a guy like that who's about to fight Arlovski, who we know goes to decisions all the time and manages to win them, probably some stupidity on my part for not even looking at Arlovski in this fight. But I didn't even consider it because he shouldn't have won.
It doesn't make sense. How is fucking Arlovski at this age fucking winning at all?
None of it makes sense. Any of his wins. He has. I don't understand. So that's enough of this card. Overall, pretty good card. Great ending. One of my favorite main events of the year. Probably my favorite main event since Do Bronx.
Yeah.
Just murdering Kevin Lee. My man can't get a fight. I'm just sad. Sad. I can't stop thinking about it. My man cannot get a fight. No one will fight him. What's Dan Hooker's white ass doing? You not want to get choked? Someone's got to get choked. Anyway, let's move on to on paper, I would say is one of the worst I've ever seen. But I will say this: the card got way better
in the last 2 days.
I was not interested in Makhachev versus RDA at all. Like if I didn't watch that fight, it wouldn't matter. I am super intrigued by Paul Felder and RDA. I want to watch two fucking around the same age, around the same size. Like that's what I want to see. Like, that's a way better fight. And they added the best. I don't know why it was so late. They just added the best fight to the card in the Brennan Allen fight. So this card is so fucking terrible. But we went from no fights I'd really care about. Now I think there's 2 fights that I'm definitely interested to see. So we have some improvement there.
Yeah, it went from a 0 out of 10 to like a 2 out of 10.
I'd say a 1 to be fair. And well, Daniel Rodriguez, that fight fell off, and I enjoy watching him scrap. He's fun. Yeah. They couldn't find anyone to fight him. Everyone wants to fight in COVID. Everyone. People are banging on the apex and saying, "Let me in. I want to scrap."
They could have this week's Jamie Simmons.
Yeah, they got no one at 170 in the whole world that wants to scrap with Rodriguez, and I actually like that. Isn't
Hazmat a 170? Like, where's he at?
He's scared though. I think Rodriguez put Hazmat out. I can't wait for who to knock out Hazmat. That's going to be just.
You know it's plus 160 right now.
Unloading on that, absolutely unloading. That is the worst line. Now I could be wrong. Maybe this guy is the second coming of Christ. But before the fight, that is the worst line I have seen in my entire life.
Yep. And you can't say that you've, like, by watching him, you can tell that he's great. You haven't seen fucking anything from him.
Marshman, like, what is that? And the fact for me to say this, as I would say, I am Leon Edwards' biggest hater in the world, in the whole world. Nobody gives Leon Edwards more shit than me.
Can confirm.
Yep.
If he says he doesn't know who I am, I think he's lying at this point. There's too much. It's every writer, every article, every time someone tweets with his name in it, I respond simply, who? That has to drive him crazy because fighters probably get shit. And he's not like a billion followers on Twitter. He's got like 6. So it's not like he's seeing millions of tweets and things like that. And fighters get shit talked to him all the time. You suck. You're going to get your fucking ass beat. Fuck you. This guy's going to kill you. How many people just simply respond, who to you? Several times a week. I'm right here, Leon. But I'll say this.
You're not the only one anymore either.
Yeah. That's become a thing.
I see it all the time. I feel like I've almost probably hurt this guy emotionally. I might have put him in therapy because can you imagine? And you think of it, and the reason I started doing this who thing several months ago is because Leon Edwards thinks he's something. And I think his whole goal is to be not even one champ. He wants to be popular. He wants to be known. He wants to be that guy. So now that I've literally seen probably 50, 60 different people on Twitter say who to this guy. I hope that motivates him. I hope that motivates my man to beat this.
So before we get into this card, I'll say one thing. It's a good thing that the UK has that socialized healthcare that you guys hate in America because Leon Edwards needs his counseling paid for.
He does. I put him in a bad place. And we'll see. Some people you get in a bad place, they come out firing, right? They want to prove something. Maybe he'll fold. I don't know. But beating Rise McKee, just think of it, take names out, right? You beat 2 of the worst fighters, literally, I would say, in the entire weight division. And now you're a minus 200 favorite versus the number, 3 ranked guy?
Yeah.
2? Yeah.
Like,
something like that.
I can't think of a time. And it's all the media. Like, this guy's actually not that good. So, anyway. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this card. The first fight really describes the trend for this card, as we have in the heavyweight division, Don'Tale Mayes, who, if you have not seen, is one of the worst fighters in the roster. He enters as a minus 225 favorite versus Rogue Martinez. Sometimes you can't even believe this shit. Rogue, like the car, the Nissan Rogue. Sean, you can start here. The dynamic with 3 people seems easier to talk and go through this, doesn't it? It's very clean.
Yeah, it cuts down on some shit. This is a horrible fight. This is, like you said, this is a perfect fucking curtain jerker for this fight card. Roque Martinez looked horrible against the guy that we just watched last week choke a guy out with his forearm. Dante Mays is horrible as well, but you know, he's bigger, he's longer, he may be a little darker, and he should win.
Yeah, Brad?
No, fuck all that. Dante Mays sucks.
He does.
He is terrible. And what happens is maybe he lands something on a guy real early and knocks him out. I don't think he's knocking this guy out. And as fat and brutal as Roque Martinez is, at least he's going to keep fighting. And I just think that come second round, come third round, he's still going to be doing shit in this fight. And Dante Mays, at some point, this is a dude that got taken down and grounded pounded in round 3 by Alan Crowder back in the day. Like, I think at some point he's just not going to have anything left. And the other dude's going to keep fighting. And Roque Martinez starting it off with an upset.
I don't know how you could bet on this one. I don't. Oh. Roque Martinez, absolute trash can. We know this for a fact. Dante Mays, also a trash can, but black. You can't lay minus 225, or you can't bet in the underdog. Dante Mays can swang and bang, though. Like, the dude hits hard. He can be swinging and banging in there. I think the likely scenario is he catches him on the chin, and I don't think this guy's going to be able to grapple with him. I think it's going to be on the feet, and I think Mays is the better striker and puts him out of there. But I don't know how anyone could be like, yeah, confidence. In this
Martinez decision plus 740.
No, not going to happen. All right, bantamweight division, Geraldo de Freitas versus Tony Gravely. Not a good fight. Not the worst, but not good. Sean?
Danny Sabatello would 30-24 both these guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. I liked what I saw in Gravely's loss to Johns. I know that's sometimes you can do that and you end up kind of overrating the guy, but he was putting it on Johns in the second round there and kind of gassed and got finished. I think his win against Rodriguez and that performance against Johns just makes him a better fighter than Freitas. There's going to be a decent amount of wrestling and scrambles. So I think Gravely can do all right in that case, and I think he can do all right if it stays on the feet a bit. So I put him in a parlay with another terrible fight on this card for a unit.
Brad?
Yeah, again, another fight I'm not super confident in either way. Gravely just doesn't look comfortable when guys throw strikes at him. Whenever anybody comes forward and throws at him, he shoots these pretty desperation takedowns, and it's got him subbed a couple times in the past. I don't know if de Freitas is able to do that, but yeah, it's tricky here. I don't really trust Gravely. I think de Freitas is actually a pretty decent wrestler for a Brazilian dude, so we might see some interesting scrambles here, but yeah, I'm just staying away from this one. I think it's going to be a pretty tight decision. Yeah,
Tony Gravely is weird. He seems like he doesn't enjoy fighting while he's in the cage. Like when he's scrapping, he does. I don't know. I'm not very sold on him, but I think he has the skills to beat bad guys. De Freitas is not very good at all, but he's not the worst fighter ever. I think this is a super close fight here. I lean Gravely, but this is also sadly not a fight I'm going to be betting. Let's now move on to the women's strawweight division as we have Ronda Markos taking on Kanako Murata. Yeah, that's right. Contender.
Household name.
Sean?
I just told you about losing money on a Canadian, and I'm probably gonna do that this week again. Ronda Markos is not a great fighter. She's 10-9. Her losses are against pretty damn good fighters. And she's usually, if she's not getting blown out by the really good fighters, she's in close fights. I'll be honest, I've never seen Murata fight. I don't really need to because I think she's a step below the people that Markos has fought. And I think it's going to be a close fight regardless. You give me plus 143 on Markos, I had to take it for a unit because I think it's just going to be a close fight.
Bradley, Canadian pound for pound number 7, Ronda Markos.
Yeah, that's not good for Canada.
She's not really Canadian. She trains in Detroit.
Detroit, what?
Yeah, I just think that the chick she's fighting, Murata, is an actually good wrestler. And I know Lance says that a little Asian boy can't be a good wrestler, but Japanese women, they can actually wrestle a little bit. So I just think this is going to turn into a grappling match, and Ronda Markos is going to lose scrambles because she always tends to lose scrambles in all of her fights. So I think Murata wins a decision here.
Are you at all worried about armbar from bottom?
Not with Ronda Markos.
I mean, she's done it before. She did it to Angela Hill.
That doesn't count.
That does not count. First of all, Brad, saying good Asian wrestler. Where do I start?
I didn't say she was good. Just said she's a wrestler.
Markos is probably a better grappler and wrestler than this Asian chick, I would say.
No.
I think so. I think she is. I think Markos ends up on top.
The juniors.
Come on. I think Markos is going to be better everywhere in this fight. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Maybe this fight's so bad I'm grasping at straws here.
Card is brutal.
It's bad. Markos usually seems to lose mostly to good people for the most part. She's been in there with really, really good people. This random Asian lady has not been in there with good people. And if her plan is, I'm a really good wrestler, that doesn't seem like to be very effective because she's from Asia. That's the thing. And I think Markos is going to actually – I think she's a little bit better striker. And I think she's going to end up on top on a lot of this. And I don't think this girl's going to be subbing Markos from her back. And I think Markos is going to spend a lot of this fight on top, throwing little little punches, and I think she gets a decision win. I like Markos here. I think a debuting Asian fighter minus 200 versus, and she's been fighting nobody. She lost to Rin Nakai like a couple years ago, not that long ago.
That's
Rin Nakai is like a
elite fighter,
jacked up 135er though, so a little different than Ronda Markos.
Still, that's not good. Let's see, where's she? As this girl, so she's
been in like Risen and shit.
Yeah, she lost to Rin Nakai.
Yeah,
that happened. Her best win is against Emily Ducote or Angela Magnana.
Ooh, Magnana.
Both of those are top 15 right now, right?
Those are the two best people she's ever stepped in a cage with. And if you look at Markos, like she's been in there with some really, really good people. Like I don't know. I don't.
This fight way too long.
We have.
It's true.
Not bad looking though, right, Markos?
You got a thing for her.
I
me
do.
and Brad
I
disagree.
No,
I think I'm right here. I think I'm right.
It's the teeth, I think.
The teeth?
Yeah, that throws me off.
Are they bad?
Yeah, they're not good.
Snacks.
Her Wikipedia picture, her mouth is closed.
Maybe that's what helps.
That could be. Not bad. That's my girl. Go get some. All right. Let's move on then. So we have in the bantamweight division. This fight's not bad. It's a pretty solid fight. Jose Alberto Quinonez. Was that good? Did you like the Quinonez?
You tried to roll it a little bit?
Yeah, Quinonez. I can't do that. I can't roll my R's or N's or whatever. I took Spanish in high school and not good. I always got stuck on the conjugating. The conjugating is way too hard for me. I can't do it. I can memorize the words. I can know all the words, right? So I can understand words you were saying. Had no idea the in between the normal words. It was too much. The conjugating. Didn't like it. Americans are stupid. We're really dumb. I can memorize words all day. You tell me to put the whole sentence together, and then you get the conjugating, the female versus male thing. It was too much. Anyway, he's facing Luis Smolka. Pretty decent fight here at bantamweight. New Sean, let's go.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a wild fight. Smolka just forces that shit to
Crazy.
happen. He for better or worse, he makes exciting fights, and they might only last 2 minutes or 3 minutes, but it's going to be a good fight.
Friend of the MMA analysis.
Yeah,
I believe Louis Smolka is the only active UFC fighter to play in Toutmaster, where he literally had to pick himself in the Toutmaster pool. I kind of wanted to go in there as administrator and have him pick against himself, and then see if the UFC fired him for fight fixing. I didn't do it, but I thought about it.
Did he lose that fight?
He lost a lot of fights.
He lost a lot of fights. But yeah, I think this is gonna be exciting. I know Quiñónez goes to a decent amount of decisions, but I just think Smolka's gonna make it a firefight. I think Quiñónez is probably getting a little disrespected a bit because of that O'Malley fight. He got fucking ran over by O'Malley. It is what it is. He has some okay wins, sort of okay wins on his record, and Smolka he really likes to just find ways to lose. So I played doesn't go to decision. I think one of these guys is going to get finished. I got that at plus 155. I took it for a unit.
Good line, Sean. Brad?
That is a good line, because I think there's going to be a finish here. We've seen Smolka in recent fights. He's gone out there, and I think he knows if it turns into a prolonged fight that it's just not going to go well for him. And because of that, I kind of lean towards Quinonez, because he tends to drag fights out a little bit. So I see Smolka coming out, getting a little bit desperate, and probably landing some stuff early, and maybe he can get Quinonez out of there. We saw against O'Malley how he got just absolutely trucked, like you guys said. But other than that, Wood is the only guy who was able to put him away, and Nathaniel Wood's still pretty damn good, despite his recent loss. So I think that Quinonez is going to be able to survive the early flurry, and then he's going to probably start to wrestle a little bit, get Smolka's back, and Smolka just gets in such bad positions lately and doesn't quite have the durability that he used to have in his career to get out of them. So I'm thinking that Quinonez wins probably like a round 2 rear naked choke or something like that.
Yeah, I like this fight. It's an interesting fight. I think you guys both make good points on what could happen. Smolka usually, he's going to get a sub or he's going to get subbed. I don't know if there's a bet gets subbed, like fight ends submission.
Oh, you can get that.
Yeah.
That'd probably be going and pay pretty well. But I mean, Smolka is a finisher, right? For a bantamweight, like he goes, and I think he gets in bad positions because he wants to get a finish, and he goes for it, and it puts himself in peril sometimes. And we've seen that, and it's very easy to take Louis Smolka's back. It's very, very easy. Like if you remember, like the Snell fight, it was like I blinked and I was like, oh, and Smolka's tapping out. Like it's very quick, but at the same time, Smolka is very good at getting guys back. He's very good at finishing submissions. He's very sneaky on the ground, but he doesn't get them. He's usually getting choked out. It's kind of like a little bit earlier in career, Bruce Leroy, where it's like he's going to sub or he's going to get subbed. And if you look at his record, it's like you're scrolling down. It's like, oh, he's finished 16 fights by sub, and he's been sub 12 times. I don't understand. Like, are you good at jiu-jitsu or are you really bad at jiu-jitsu? I think it's similar here. So I do think it's going to be Smolka probably early on, or Quinonez a little bit later. But you never know. I mean, even early on, Quinonez could grab a neck early on in that fight and get a finish. So, like Brad, like Sean, I like it doesn't go here. So this is it. It's a consensus Munich here. So,
and I think because we won last week, every time we win, a loss comes off the record. So we're 3-13-5 now.
That is correct. Oh,
yeah.
Yes, 3-13-5. That's right. What was Munich last week? Was that Glover? That win?
Yeah, it was Glover. I think it won. Yeah.
Munich's are almost always plus money. No tout shit here. All right, let's move on now as we fucking Rise McKee, my boy. Welterweight division, Alex Moreno, Rise McKee. Whew, that's tough. You, Sean?
So if the Great White Hope Alex Morono just smashes this guy, is he getting a top 10 fighter? Is he getting matched up with Magny next, or he's going for fighter of the year if he beats Reese McKee?
Well, MMA has said that if Hazmat wins, he's gonna be fighter of the year because he beat Jack Marshman, Rise McKee, and a dude who hasn't fought in 2 years.
He didn't even beat Jack Marshman. He beat the Jack Marshman lookalike.
Oh, not Jack Marshman. He beat I literally get them confused because
they're the other shitty guy that can't wrestle.
Mike Tyson.
Phillips. That's what
it was. Even worse. A poor man Jack Marshman.
Yeah, poor man.
That's tough. Imagine being a poor man Jack Marshman. That is not a good one.
Fuck. So I don't have much on this fight. Morono's beaten decent guys somewhat. I think he probably beats the shit out of Reese McKee. He's minus what is he? Minus 220, 230?
Minus not enough.
He's not. No, he's like minus 190, isn't he?
Yeah,
it dropped? Oh, yeah, he's minus 190. Minus 190 against, the guy who got smashed by the next GOAT. I tell you. I'll pick Morono.
The one and only, Brad. Rise McKee, the Skeletor. When you look at this guy's picture and then you look at his weight, you're like, hold on. That guy, I thought he was a bantamweight.
I think I have bigger pecs than him, and I don't have pecs.
I think Trey Television has bigger pecs than him.
This guy's no muscle. I would fight this guy, I think. I think I would fight him.
You would get hurt.
I think I could take him down. He's British.
Yeah.
True.
I'll fight him. I got winner.
All right. Set it up.
Hazmat, though. Impressive guy. All right, Brad.
Yeah, I don't understand why this is so close. I like Morono here. I think he's going to do some work. And I also kind of like the under in this one. Just because, to me, this is for Morono going back to his legacy FC days where he just used to come out and absolutely bomb on dudes. And I think he's going to do the same thing here because there's not a whole lot coming back the other way. If he gets in trouble, he can take it down and bomb on him from top. And if by some miracle rise and fall lands a shot early on, because all of his wins are by submission or by finish, I think that's going to work for the under as well. So I'll have Morono in a parlay, and I'll probably throw a little bit on the under 2.5 straight.
Yeah. Rise McKee, man. Just look at this fella. Morono is not some Adonis looking guy, but man, when he's standing next to McKee, he might be. And I think he's the more talented fighter. I think he's the more physical fighter. He's been in there with a lot of good guys. For a guy like Morono, who's not the most talented, he's been in the UFC for a good bit. He's got a winning record. He's fought some decent guys. He has some okay wins. He beat Max Griffin. He's beat some other guys. He's not horrible. He's a decent, I would say decent fighter. And McKee's is basically just a giant trash can. So yeah, I think minus 190 is criminal here. So I will have him in a parlay with someone else in the card.
I wouldn't say he's a giant trash can. He's one of those little trash cans you have in your bathroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
The UFC is teasing us at this point as the next two fights take place in the women's strawweight division. First up, Ashley Yoder versus Miranda Granger, who I do not know. Is this a debuting fighter?
She's actually fought twice for the UFC.
Twice?
Are you seriously?
Yeah.
No. Miranda Danger Granger? That's not bad. That's what my nickname would be.
At least it rhymes.
Yeah.
She looks trashy.
As we've seen, there's a million fucking worse than that.
She has a giant cross on her belly.
It's very attractive.
No, she's not. Ashley Yoder.
You know how you have a thing for random Markos? I think Ashley Yoder is that for me. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
She looks very different than her Sherdog photo.
Depending on
her weigh-in photos.
Yeah, depending on the picture that you send of her or that you see of her.
They're all different. They're all different people.
They tell a very different story.
Sometimes they're different people. Yeah, different hair, skin tone. It's really weird. I don't understand it. I mean, they're all trailing Rebus at this point.
That's fair.
All right.
This is going to be a terrible fight. It's
Yes.
going to go 15 minutes. Yoder is not good, but she's tough. I don't know how good Granger is based on her losing to Amanda Lemos. I would say she's not that good. So I think it's going to be a close fight. I put Go's decision in that parlay with Gravely plus 108 for a unit. And I will pick Granger to win because she's not Ashley Yoder.
Brad, how do you get cut in the UFC? I'm looking at Ashley Yoder right here. She is 2-5 in the UFC, and her wins
she's
are
also ranked 12th in the division.
12th ranked fighter in the division. She's 2-5 in the UFC. Her wins are a split decision over Amanda Cooper and a decision over Suri Kondo, who can't tell you for sure if that's an actual fighter.
No, I thought that was a place that you rent out in BC when you go and visit. Yeah.
I don't get it. I can't. Nothing.
No, that's Canadian humor for you. Yeah, I think the only answer, Lance, as you've said, is you just got to cut the whole division.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's the only way. That's
just send them to Invicta and
get rid
give
of it.
us number one contender fights and championship fights.
At any rate, what's Yoder by submission in this fight?
You think Yoder's going to sub her?
I mean, she got subbed by Amanda Lemo, so...
Lemo. Holy shit, that took me longer than it usually does.
Yeah.
Submission 800.
Yeah.
It was 900, so some sharps are hitting it, you know.
The Shraps.
That Vegas money.
Yeah.
Those sharps.
I'm not betting this fight, but if I did, that's what I would bet.
I am not going to bet this. I don't even know how you do.
I just told you.
Well, besides your prop stuff.
Goes
all right. Now, this next fight features what I guess I would call a couple children. As we have
1999 birth years.
Jeez.
Oh my God. So she didn't even remember like Y2K coming.
Nope.
Man, we were going to lose everything.
Everything was going to be gone.
Man, sometimes I wish we did.
I know. Kay Hansen, that's the little MAGA girl, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. She beat Jinyu Frey.
Yeah.
I don't remember Corey McKenna. She was on Contender, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. That's a no for me, dog.
She beat up the stripper.
She did. Yeah. Nope. Not gonna do it. Okay. Yeah. Sean.
I don't have much on this fight. I did take Hansen by sub at plus 400 because that's what she does, and this is women's MMA, and shitty subs happen all the time. But I think Hansen wins, and hopefully
she
subs the
favored.
chick. Yeah,
Hansen is apparently minus 225 in this fight, which I do not get.
I get it.
No,
British chick versus a grappler.
Yep.
Just judging based on their fights that I've seen, which are their last fights, where Hansen looked terrible on the feet against Jinyu Frey, and then like kind of lucked out on an armbar on a chick that doesn't know how to grapple in the third round.
That's women's MMA, baby.
Yeah, that's true. And then the other chick, she looked all right in the Contender Series. She at least throws hard on the feet, so she's going to win on the feet. And then she's like a power lifter or something. So you got this little MAGA chick that's coming in trying to wrestle, and she's just going to like power lift her and power bomb her and win the fight. By
Power bomb.
So what's your actual?
By power bomb, but by decision.
What's your bet?
Probably just the McKenna chick by decision, but straight.
McKenna by decisions. Yeah, that's not much. Not worth
Yeah,
it.
you probably don't get a whole lot more than the money line.
I feel like you're wasting your money.
No, Hansen sucks.
Yeah, but she's a grappler versus a British chick.
She's not a grappler. Like, she's not a good grappler.
I didn't say good.
Doesn't need to be good.
But she wins all her fights by sub, right?
I mean, the British chick just faced a grappler on Contender Series,
I
and
thought she faced a stripper.
stripper / grappler. Come on, it's
Grappled
like
that
there's a
pole.
lot of crossover there, Lance. Come on, stay with me.
Crystal, she was actually a stripper, if I recall, right?
Yes,
And her name's Crystal.
I mean, her
No.
parents just set her down a poor path with that name. You just knew
So
what was going to happen.
after she lost to that chick on Contender Series, LFA put her as a main event,
Yep.
and she
Very good.
lost.
She lost that. Too.
Tremendous. Women's MMA just continues to impress me.
The bar is always getting set higher.
I guess I'll switch to football for about an hour before my dude catchweight. Why is this not the co-main event?
Why?
It's-
before they did the Felder RDA thing, I thought they were going to have to make this the main event.
It would have been funny enough that this would have been the main event if that fight did not happen. Like if RDA gets COVID tomorrow, this is your main event. I don't care who's the co-main. No one knows who the fuck Chaos Williams is. And this is a good fight. If this was a really good card, this would still be one of the best fights in the card. Very interesting matchup. Sean Strickland, I don't know if I can really call him a prospect anymore. He's still on the right side of 30. He's been around a little bit, has some losses to some top guys. But Brendan Allen, catchweight, Sean Strickland. You know who I got in this one, Sean. I am a Brendan Allen mark.
I agree with you in this one. This is at 195. Historically, Strickland's
Franklin
been a
weight.
7-year. Yeah, Franklin weight. Strickland until the last fight was a 170-er, and now he's going up, 25 pounds. That's a decent
Versus a
decent jump
grappler.
there. Versus a grappler. And I know he's only got taken down by really good wrestlers. That was at 170. Size makes a difference, and especially when you have skill to go along with that talent, with that size that Brendan Allen has. I know he kind of looked rough in the third against what's his name?
Dukakis.
Yeah, Dukakis.
Dukakis brothers. The brothers of the year. The Dukakis. Everyone keeps talking about Tua and his brother.
You're definitely the Dukakises.
Yeah, everyone keeps talking about Tua and his brother. No. It's the year of the Dukakis. He fights next week, I think.
Yep, he does. But yeah, I don't know if that was just like a pandemic thing, his performance, why he gassed so quickly, but I think he's a really skilled guy. I do think this is a fairly close fight. I know Strickland has a really good jab, and that's about it. I mean, I guess he has decent takedown defense and a solid jab, and that has carried him pretty far. I was able to get Allen at plus 130. I thought that was worth a shot, so I put 2 units on that.
I will not get Allen at plus 130. Brad?
You don't bet until the day before fights.
Do you blame me? Half of them will be canceled anyway.
And sometimes that's when you get the best lines.
And I'm very similar to old Sean with the line stuff. It's like, ooh, this looks good. I should bet Glover now. He's 185. And it's 200 by fight night. That's me. Like every time I bet early, it's a horrible mistake.
We're getting old Sean back for the women's fights. Don't worry. It's just circumstances happen.
Yeah, he's with a fella in a hotel, exploring each other, figuring things out.
Yeah.
Yes. It's it's good. If you guys didn't know, Sean has more so than me. Like I have not transformed into a Democrat. I just voted against Trump. Sean's hardcore lib now. Like he's living, breathing liberal. So he wanted to try some things out. He wanted to see what the other side is doing. It's like that Red Hot Chili Pepper song, which I'm still convinced is about being gay. Take it on the other side. Sean is really living and breathing that. So that's where he is right now. He's in a hotel room, Motel 6, in North Carolina, with a friend or a couple friends that he's met online off Grindr.com, which Grindr has joined our chat room on Twitter. I invited them. They accepted. So Sean's just feeling things out, seeing how it plays out.
Feeling a lot of things out.
He is. He's going deep, balls deep.
Anyway, as far as this fight goes, I just think it's kind of a tough spot for Allen. Cut weight last week, coming back. He doesn't have to cut as much weight this week, so that's a plus. But he struggles in fights at times. He is a very good grappler, and once he gets fights on the ground against a lot of guys, he can just dominate them. Really good ground and pound, uses it to transition, finds chokes that way. But Sean Strickland is also quite a good grappler. We've seen it in the past. We haven't had to see it quite as much recently, partially because he had the motorcycle accident and didn't fight for 2 years, but partially because he's not really an offensive grappler. He's good at defending takedowns. The only guy in the UFC that has really been able to out-grapple him was Usman. I know Alex Garcia got a few takedowns against him as well, but then he gassed and Strickland was able to finish him off. And Strickland, I know Sean said he fought a lot at 170, but he fought at 185 before, dropped down to 170, and then now that he's come back from the whole motorcycle thing, he's back up at 185 and obviously taking this fight on short notice at 195. So that's the big concern for me is the size. But I think as long as it stays on the feet, Strickland's winning on the feet. I don't think you can really have a whole lot of question about that. So then it comes down to, is Allen going to be able to get it to the ground? Is he going to be able to get it to the ground repeatedly and do enough there that he either gets Strickland out or that he doesn't tire out and let Strickland take over late in the fight? And I have a hard time seeing that. I think Strickland is going to pick up rounds, and I think it's going to get a little bit easier for him as this fight goes. I think the second and third round are probably going to be more Strickland than they are Allen, even if he has to come back after a tough first round. So I lean towards Sean Strickland here, but this is a great fight, and I am looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, everything Brad said was incorrect. Incorrect. So, yes, Sean Strickland has only been out-grappled by Alex Garcia and Kamaru Usman. Also, he hasn't faced any grapplers. So it's like, hey, I faced Lyoto Machida. I didn't get taken down a single time. I was fighting Wonder Boy, and I had 100% takedown defense. I didn't get taken down once. This dude's facing Jack Marshman, Talib, Breeze, like guys like he's not fighting guys who are looking to get takedown. And Allen doesn't have the best wrestling, but he has the jiu-jitsu type of wrestling that he finds a way to get you on the ground. And once he gets you on the ground, he is vicious. I feel like I broke this fight down last week with Brendan Allen. And Brendan Allen is vicious in the ground, and he doesn't just bail out for subs immediately. He beats you up. He loosens you up, and I think the weight's going to be a big thing. Brendan Allen is much bigger than Sean Strickland. If you look at these guys' walk-around weights, I bet they're 25 pounds difference. They are way different in size. Allen's big. He's still lanky, but he's big. He's very vicious on top. He has good top control. He has good submissions. And we don't know how back. Sean Strickland took a couple years off. He looked great in his last fight, but that was a fight where he just got to stand in front of a guy and jab him to death. This is a fight where he's gonna. Yeah, this is a fight where he's gonna have to work his ass off. He is gonna work in this fight. We're gonna see if he's back. And yes, he's not cutting weight, but he just fought 2 weeks ago, and now he's gonna be in a grinding type battle with a really, really strong, confident grappler. And man, I'll probably be wrong. I'm wrong about most things, but Brendan Allen at 24 years old, with his abilities and how he finds ways to win, and his finishing ability and what he does, and he's not a slouch on the feet. I think Sean Strickland's definitely the best or a better striker on the feet, but Allen's not like the worst striker of all time, and he's devastating on top. And I think Allen's just all around better fighter. I think he's just the better fighter here. And I think this is the best fighter that he's probably fought since Usman. He lost to Mr. Capoeira, but that's weird. So anyway, I like Allen here. I went ahead and bet him because this line, it was still like, it's up to minus 120 in some area in a lot of books. He's still at minus 110, so I put a little bet on Allen there. All right, next up, middleweight division, Eric Anders, Antonio Arroyo. Fuck if I know. Fucking Anders. I got nothing for this. I do not know how to break down his fights. He's fucking terrible, but he's athletic. He's like Hardy, if Hardy was just not in the heavyweight division.
He's even worse than Hardy.
Hardy's a heavyweight. We don't know.
That is kind of true. But I'll be honest. I don't know who the fuck is going to win this fight. I feel like I was pretty wrong on Eric Anders. I did flip on him in when he fought Roundtree, but man, like you think he has talent. He's so athletic, but he just loses in pretty terrible ways. He's got smashed a couple times, but then he's also been just like jabbed to death and kind of grinded on. And I don't know too much about Antonio Arroyo. I think that if Arroyo throws volume, it'll probably shut down Anders and he'll win a decision, or possibly finish him. I know Anders is very, very tough. I'll pick Arroyo just because I think Anders is terrible.
Man, this is toughy, Brad. Not in a good way. Not like a fun fight. It's going to be terrible. But who you got?
It's pretty difficult to get a read on this. I actually have seen Arroyo on Contender Series, and then his loss in the UFC. That was on the Jacare.
Yeah.
It was on the Jacare Blachowicz card. So I remember watching that one because I was like, oh, Jacare's going up to 205. He's going to smoke this stupid Polish dude.
Nothing happened.
Worked out so well. Anyway, Arroyo is the better striker here. And that's not saying a lot because Anders should have lost against Mearshart on the feet in entirely a striking battle, which is embarrassing. I don't know anybody that scored that fight for Anders in that one. So if this stays on the feet, Arroyo is going to win. So then you look and you see if Anders can get a takedown. He didn't get a takedown against Jocko. Didn't even go for a takedown, I don't think, against Meerkat. Won his fight before that against some Brazilian dude that I've never heard of by knockout in a minute. Smoked by Roundtree, couldn't get a takedown there. Couldn't get a takedown against Elias Teodoro as he was getting cardio kickboxed to death. And the last time he got takedowns was against Thiago Santos. Got a bunch of takedowns, but Eric Anders died so Thiago Santos could live in that fight. And then Glover just killed Thiago Santos. So I think Eric Anders is dead, guys. I think it's over. I think that even though this Arroyo guy doesn't have the takedown defense of Krzysztof Jotko, I think he's still going to be able to keep this on the feet enough. Throws a lot of kicks, and I don't think Eric Anders likes getting kicked in the body, based on when I've seen him fight. So I think he's going to get kicked in the body here. He's not going to like it, and he's probably going to lose his decision because he's really tough.
Yeah. Does Anders ever deserve, like, even when he wins, I'm like you're terrible. Like,
unless he's fighting in tomato can, he does not look good winning.
Well, what is he good at? Like, if you were to look at him, right? And I know when he first came up, I think all of us were excited when he first came up because he debuted versus Sapo. He puts him out. He's this former, football player. He's super, super athletic. He played at Alabama. Like, you're like, God, this guy's interesting. And like, he beats Natal. He I think he's like 8-9-0. And like, God, this guy's good. And then he fights Machida. It's a horrible fight, but a fight that he probably won. And then it's like
could have won easily.
Yeah,
Threw some more.
He's not good at anything. So, yeah, I got
to take you a ways in that weight division.
But Arroyo's not terrible. He's a decent, okay fighter. Munez subs a lot of guys. That's not a bad loss. He's probably going to do to most guys he faces that aren't great. But I can't bet on Arroyo. I don't even know if I can pick him. Anders just finds a way versus guys who aren't very good to win. Like, who's the worst guy he's lost to? Jocko?
Meerkat?
Maybe? The Theodoro fight was bad.
Theodoro.
That was a bad decision, if I recall, right?
I don't.
Neither of them did anything.
Maybe I bet on Anders.
That's probably what you did, and I think I did too. And then Theodoro kicked for 15 minutes and won.
He was the worst. I'm glad they cut him. Really hate that guy. Let me check old MMA decisions, see what we got here on that fight, because I don't recall. Oh, no, I was wrong. Most people had Theodoro there. Maybe I just hate Theodoro because he's so boring.
We all do.
Anders did nothing in that, and then the only thing Theodoro did to win the rounds
Kick
was
him.
Kick him. Yeah.
God, how bad are leg kicks?
So there you go, another guy that threw kicks and beat Eric Anders. Arroyo throws a ton of kicks.
Theodoro won 3 of his last 4 in the UFC, loses 1, or wins 3 in a row, loses 1. They immediately cut him. They're like, fuck this. Get out of here, kid.
They hate you.
He's not fun. All right, let's move on now. Middleweight division: Julian Marquez versus Safarov.
Sparbag.
All right.
I tried to find a way to fade Marquez here. He's a pretty big favorite for a dude that hasn't fought in a year and a half, lost a pretty shitty fight to a fairly shitty guy. But Safarov is he's not good. He's got a little bit of power, but he's been beat by some guys that are absolutely horrible. I'll pick Marquez to win just because he's the better, more athletic guy, but he hasn't fought in a year and a half and has other shit going on. He's a professional podcaster, so he could lay an egg here.
I don't think so. Brad?
Yeah, Marquez has never really been good. There's a couple things that are on his record now that look good, but he wasn't really impressive in doing them. But yeah, Sparbag is, I haven't seen a lot of him, but everything that I have seen, he kind of looks like Antigulov. He's like that sort of, chubby, shitty Russian that
weathered
out real quick. And yeah, I can't bet Marquez here though. He's more focused on doing his porn podcast.
Yep.
I'm all over Marquez here. I got to do it. I think podcast Marquez beats this shitbag. This guy's terrible. Marquez isn't great. I get it. He's not great. He does some stupid stuff. He's not overly good. Look at who this guy lost to. This sap bag. Like whatever his name is. Like, this dude is not good. He loses every one he fights. His only win, I don't know where to start in this guy's name. Nikolay Negumereanu. He beat that guy by decision.
That's Daniel Negreanu's brother.
Oh, the poker player. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he got subbed by Rodolfo. I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
Who I don't know who. Yeah, I mean,
that guy is a very good grappler.
Yeah, he's extremely good.
Yeah.
Well, he's not. Who is he? Retire? Is he still fighting? I don't remember.
He's still fighting. He just hasn't got.
He's one of those jiu-jitsu guys that doesn't care about MMA.
Yeah.
Well, he's a black belt under some guy I've never heard of, so it doesn't count. Anyway,
he's very good. He's very good.
Safarov, whatever. He got knocked the fuck out by fucking our boy Johnny Valanche. He has one win since April 2016, and that's versus Daniel Negreanu's brother. That's it. Marquez isn't great, but he is dangerous. He can choke guys. He has some decent power. I think this is a runaway. I think this is kind of a gimme fight for Marquez. He's fun. The UFC seems to like this guy. I like Marquez. I'm parlaying with who did I say I was parlaying someone with earlier?
I don't usually listen to you, so
yeah, I
am the most knowledgeable with all my tape study.
Alex Morono, Don'Tale Mays.
It was Morono.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
It's the tape study. That's how I win. It's tape study. Just
the great
effort.
White Hope.
Tape study, effort. Just a lot going on. I spend hundreds of hours. By the way, my favorite new thing for the MMA betting community is when a fight gets canceled. So, like, guy breaks his leg in half. He's fucking sad. Like, oh my God, how am I going to get paid? My family. The guy's like, I just wasted 30 minutes doing tape study.
Fuck me.
That guy is
absolute worst.
I see it all the time. It's like 10
Don't
people.
worry about it, kid.
Where am I gonna get that time back? Like,
he's gonna bet $30 on that guy. How will he get that time back?
Dude, fucking bro.
I'll send you the $7.50 to compensate you the minimum wage that you would have otherwise made.
Fucking brutal. But yeah, I like Marquez here. I think he's gonna roll. Welterweight division: Abdul Razak Alhassan versus Chaos Williams. Sean,
I thought Alhassan, after beating the rap case, I thought he was going to come out firing and just absolutely destroy the Lezez guy, but obviously that did not happen. I think he's still going to do what he does and basically come forward and throw hands and hopefully land on you and probably kill you. The thing is, Williams has power too, as we saw when he just flatlined Morono inside 30 seconds. So this should be a fun fight on a pretty terrible card. It will get sad and gassy if it goes past 3-4 minutes, and maybe Brad's taking an angle on that, but I think Alhassan is the better guy. He probably finishes Chaos Williams.
Brad?
Yeah, I thought Chaos Williams was the running back from Friday Night Lights, but I guess I was wrong. Yeah, this is it's a thing. Are
co-main event, baby? Get hype!
Oh, look at that! Dan Tom hopping in the chat. Yeah,
speaking of hogs,
of course, just in time too for the. I don't want to say that he saw that we were breaking down the two black guys fighting and hopped in to talk about hogs, but that's exactly what happened. Are we at the point with Alhassan where it's I'm going to be super cautious to conserve my cardio and gas anyway and not do anything territory? Is that where we might be at? Because it seems like we're approaching the cliff where guys do that. So I could see a case where, you might think that he's going to throw a punch or not throw a punch in round one and be gassed, and Chaos could go to a decision because it seems like Alhassan's tough and can take a little bit coming back the other way in rounds 2 and 3. But I kind of hope this is round one. Somebody lands something big and just gets it done. Yeah, I don't have a bet here. I can't trust either of these guys. But, again, if I gun to my head, if I had to take some crazy prop, Chaos Williams by decision is like plus 800.
Plus 750.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't trust Alhassan here. For sure, I don't trust him. But I don't trust Chaos Williams because he's not very good. So I think I hate to pass on a co-main event and look at this and there's no interesting props that I saw that I liked on this one. So I think this is just a pass. I think Alhassan can bum rush and put him out of there. But I think if he doesn't in the first couple minutes, then Chaos Williams can take over and win the fight that way. But it should be a fun fight. I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing. Fair?
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
This Chaos guy, he has Chaos written across the crotch, so you can't really get a good feel for the hog that's going on down there. So, man, I think that more than anything is why I have to pass.
Yeah, that's the most important part of breaking down a fight, as we know, and that's tough there. But yeah, Chaos they're kind of I don't know. This fight's weird. I don't know how to do with Alhassan anymore. He comes back and he gets fucking just destroyed by that random nobody when we were on the fight island. So I don't know. So pass here. But let's move on now to the main event as we have in the lightweight division. Paul Felder taking on Rafael dos Anjos in what we discussed earlier was a much better main event than we previously had. Makhachev is one of the most boring fighters in the roster, and we replaced him versus Paul Felder, who's one of the more fun fighters in the roster. You, Sean, who you got?
This is a bit of a crazy fight. Felder was training for like an Ironman or a triathlon, and that's why I think the only chance he has is making weight is because he's in that shape. But he definitely wasn't training what he should have been if he was trying to if he's going to fight. So I think he could start slow. We've seen that before. Felder doesn't always come out hot, and guys kind of take it to him early. RDA was obviously training for a completely different fight. Makhachev is a southpaw wrestler. Paul Felder is not going to shoot on you, and he's an orthodox striker. So that might take some time for RDA to adjust to. Also, RDA's dropping down to 155 after fighting for a while at 170. He says he's not going to have any issues with that, and he's back motivated again. It is a bit sketchy, trusting a 36-year-old who's been in a million fights with a million good guys and taken a decent amount of damage. But Paul Felder has not really fought many grapplers. I know he showed pretty good sub-defense against Dubronx, but I think RDA is just going to have better wrestling. He's going to wear him out, and then eventually he's probably going to grab a sub. There are a lot of red flags going into this fight, so I didn't go big. I just put a unit on him. I think he's the better fighter, even at 36 years old and dropping back down to 155. So I put him in a parlay with the main event in next weekend's card.
Brad?
Yeah, people can think that RDA is washed all they want, but you're talking about a guy who has fought nothing but the best dudes at lightweight and welterweight over the past, 7-8 years, against Paul Felder, who is very fun to watch, but hasn't fought any of the best guys at lightweight ever. I guess you can consider Dan Hooker a top-ish guy, but
Barboza, and then Dubronx, that's about as high as he gets, and that was kind of Dubronx before.
Yeah, that was before Dubronx was the man he is now. So we'll get Sean back here in a second. I'm sure he clicked exit or something, like a dumb teenager not knowing how to use the internet.
He's a child. What do you expect?
Right.
There he is.
Don't worry, we made fun of you while you were gone.
That's fair. Good.
So I think this is a levels thing. You've got RDA, who I think, honestly, he's the better striker here as well. But if for some reason the striking isn't going his way, I think he can get Felder down. And once he's down, maybe Felder can survive, but RDA's got a very, very good top game. We saw, it wasn't that long ago, like just over a year ago, he was in a pretty grueling fight with Kevin Lee and still had enough in the fourth round to get him down and get a sub. So I don't think cardio is going to be a huge issue for him here. As much as Felder's been working out, he hasn't been training for a fight. It's very, very different. And I think that where he would normally maybe be able to come back and mount some offense in rounds 4 and 5, I just don't see that happening in this fight. So I've got RDA. I parlayed him with Morono, and I'll probably take him straight if he stays around minus 170 as well.
Yeah, I like Felder here. So apparently not in the same page as you, Bradley. I think RDA is washed. I think he's way more washed than Felder. I think he's coming down in weight, back down to 155. He hasn't done that in a while. He's changing opponents. He's going from a guy, and I don't always think opponent changes are that big of a deal, but he was going against a guy who was just going to take him down and take him down and take him down. That's all he was focused on. Now he's facing a guy where he's going to want to get the fight to the ground, and Felder's going to want to bang with him. And that changes your mindset a good bit when you're facing, completely different styles of fighter. And I just don't think Felder is as washed as RDA. I think Felder still looks, a top 10 fighter in the world at this point. And you saw him in his last fight versus Hooker, razor close decision, looked good in that fight. And he's had some time off. And I know it's short notice, but he was training for an Ironman. And when they called him, he was like, yeah, I can make 155, not a big deal. So he's in really, really good shape. And I think RDA is just a little bit washed. I don't think he's going to have an easy time getting Felder to the ground. And I think on the feet, I think Felder is more dangerous, more creative. I think he's going to push him around a little bit, and I think he just lands the bigger strikes. And Felder's creative with his elbows, his weird strikes, everything like that. And the guy is just tough as nails. RDA is not going to get him out of there. And I think this fight's going to end up on the feet for the vast majority of it. And I think Felder's the better striker. And I don't think RDA is going to be, having an easy time getting him down or landing big shots on him. So at plus 165, I like Felder here. I think it's worth a shot. I thought this fight would open RDA as a smaller favorite. John Anik said, what do you think? And I actually said, I thought RDA was going to open at minus 140, and then it was going to flip to Felder. Well, half that happened. I didn't flip to Felder. I just think Felder's the better side. I think he's the better side here. I think he's the better fighter at this point in his career, and I think RDA is completely toasting at this point. So it's going to be a better Felder for me.
I'm glad that you went underwater for half of that breakdown.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I don't know what happened.
Did it break? Did everybody broke up?
No,
once in a while it clears up.
Muffled.
Yeah.
Oh, have you been doing that?
Just like you were talking like this, and it was really weird. And
just during that fight breakdown, everything else was fine?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Were you playing with your headphones?
No. There's this really old guy I work with, and so I only use these type of headphones if I'm plugged into something that won't call me. So I use AirPods and stuff for work and stuff. Mm. And there's this old guy I work with, nice guy, sales guy, great guy. When he talks, he holds his mic like this.
Oh, get it.
So he's like, yes.
Just wants to be inside your ear holes.
Great guy. Real good guy. Well, sorry I broke up there, but I'm right. You guys are wrong. Felder's going to wreck this fucking dude. Good story. From the booth, to the W. He's going to be like Jameis. Did you guys see the video the other day with the Saints? And they were giving interviews with Breeze, and Jameis walked up behind him and put his arm around him and then started eating the W's again.
Oh, so Jameis.
Jameis might be like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, and he's not starting. What's up with that?
Bench.
Crazy. You look at these starters around the league, and even for some like the Cowboys, right? How are the Cowboys as soon as Dak goes down, not just begging the Saints for a job?
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. Anyway, fun show this week. This card's not great, but who gives a shit? It's Masters week.
Very not. Oh yeah, that's a thing. Isn't that supposed to happen in April?
Yes, we're gonna have 2 Masters in a short bit of time, which is great. I'm taking the next 2 days off of work. It is Masters week, so I will not be working. I have some work to do tonight.
Priorities.
But yeah, I got to get this done tonight so I can, watch the Masters and contract stuff. Very boring. But yeah, it's Masters week. So 4 days of awesome. Going to be very interesting. There's going to be no fans at Augusta, which is going to look weird. No grandstands, all that stuff. Dick Base, Bryson DeChambeau is going to be using a 48-inch driver. Maybe that's going to be weird. So yeah, tune to the Masters, tune to the fights. We got a lot of football. It's a fun sports weekend. If you're in the U.S., go to a football game, get COVID, die, and vote.
The sooner you all get it, the sooner it's over.
That's right.
It makes sense. It's not real anyway. You can't get hurt from it. You can't die. Everything's good. I didn't check. Before we end this show, the U.S. is on pace to break 150,000 cases in one day. And I want to see if we got there because we've been rooting hard. We've been working hard. We've been going to parties.
Yep.
Oh, that's depressing. We only got
145?
143.
Oh, man. Don't worry.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Give it a week after Thanksgiving. You guys will hit 250 easy.
Yeah, but we need baby goals. We got to get 150 tomorrow. It's one day for the rest of your life.
150 tomorrow.
A day at a time.
Yeah. So I really appreciate it for everyone that's joined along with the live commentary. I know that's been one of my favorite parts since we went live is, we have a lot of the same people coming in, some new people coming in every week. So we really enjoy the commentary. So thank you for that. Next week, we should have Little Tiny Dick and the Redneck back. So we get the squad back together. We're going to do some movie reviews next week, hopefully. We've seen a couple requests, Sean, about you getting back and doing some movie reviews. So we appreciate it. Enjoy the fights this week, and we will see you guys next week.